I must be seeing double. 4 Crypt Keepers. Alright, this is the big comparison video between this guy, the brand new for 2023, Spirit Halloween, unlicensed, The Keeper, made by Crazy Crate, which is a remake of this guy, the 1996 Jimmy Crypt Keeper, which was sold at Spencer's Gifts. These two are very different. I realized just putting them next to each other, they're kind of hard to compare. They're made 20 years apart, so they're both pretty much products of their time. You can tell this one is very different in how it operates from this one, because this one just constantly moves. I don't even have a sound plugged into it right now. This one's just muted. It has volume control. But as soon as you plug this thing and turn it on, it just moves. And that's like what a lot of really old props used to do. They just keep moving. They weren't as advanced as these ones, which had programming and sound built in. You had to plug in a cassette player with this one, which I don't have, and tapes, which I also don't have. This guy, after 20 years, he's been through the ringer. This one has an IR sensor and eye movement, which is different from this one, which doesn't need that because it just has a looping recording, which again I don't have. This thing is... I've spent the same amount of money for both of these, basically. This one was around $400, and this one was also around $400. For this one, it's a huge flex. For this one, it's kind of an embarrassment. But anyway, let's get into some of the finer details. Let me just say quickly before I go into this, only one of his arms is attached. His other limbs are just completely off, so you're just gonna have to... And also the paint job is not original. This was something the previous owner did after they rescued him from a haunted house, which I suspect is a Chamber of Chills. Now, one of the biggest things I wanted to compare on these two was the molds, because as you can see, they look nearly identical. Like every minute detail is sort of replicated in these. So the question is, are these just the same molds that they reused? Like, it's kind of hard to say. There we go. Let's see. Now you can tell this one does not have the same, like, live long and prosper kind of split right here. That's, see that on this hand. It's not as drastic. And there's another thing I noticed while looking at this one. It seems to be 3D printed. I don't know if you can see this on there you go. Now you can see it. It seems like it's been 3D printed because of those lines there. Those you get kind of from 3D printing. So I'm going to assume that this guy, maybe some sort of computer scan of this one. I know that's somewhat possible that they scanned this and then modified it and put it in here. So the legs, okay, these are also detached. Just keep in mind, this thing has been through the ringer. It's been 20 years. So as you can see, they've got more, like above the ankle, it's very skinny, and then there's this part here that's like cylindrical or thicker, and this one cuts off just before that. It's actually a lot thicker than this one's feet, but I just wanted to get, like, these little wounds you can see right here are also on this one, which is kind of crazy to me because these feet don't really look much like the original, but they captured like such little details, which leads me to kind of suspect that this is sort of a remolding of this one. It's hard to tell. Alright. And the hands can also tell that they've got some of the same wounds that this one does. Except, actually, oh no, these ones, those are still in. They just aren't really painted. See those 3 little wounds there, and they're not really represented on here. So there definitely was a little bit of detail loss. You can see where this hand, there's a bit right there, bit right there. See that? Little nibblings, let's call them. And up to here, let's see these 3 holes. There they are. Yeah, this one does seem like it's a bit skinnier, so Now for the big part, we're gonna have to unplug these two because there was no way I could have compared these 2 heads with the movement. So anyway, just wanted to see, of course they both have the huge Lorax eyebrows, which I'm not a big fan of. The Crypt Keeper doesn't really have eyebrows in the show, but because of course this one had it, this one had to. So anyway, one thing that this one has that might be a dead giveaway, pun intended, on if this one is a remold of this one, is how the neck has this little seam underneath, like where the chin is, and that appears to be there. It looks like they did smooth it out a bit. Let me try to... But this one is actually separate, so they could take it off and put the eyes in. Which is kind of funny because this one doesn't have moving eyes and this one does. So, a little bit interesting. And you can see the button here. This one does not have a button. This is just one whole thing that goes up there. It's a onesie, basically. And mine doesn't have the shawl anymore. A lot of Crypt Keepers over 20 years lose their shawl. But that's another thing that I want to talk about is the pants and the shirt on this one are separate. This one doesn't really have that. This one's just, you know, as I said, one whole thing. And there's another thing I want to talk about. It's on the back of the head, there's this smooth portion. So, if we look on the back of the head of this one, that doesn't seem to be present at all. So, I don't know. And we can see here there's a line where the hairline is on this one. And speaking of the hairline, this one has like a couple different punchings in. This one just has the line, the hairline. And it doesn't have much hair. I assume over time he's been balding. His hair is very, you know, stringy, sticky. It's gross. And it's also a little bit hot glued on. I don't know if that was something that was like done by Jemmy or by the guy who bought this before me. But, you know, this one does not have any hot glued hair, but it looks pretty bad on the top of the head. But you can see the waves right there and down the back of the head. Alright, I plugged this guy back in because I wanted to talk a little bit more about his mechanics compared to this one. See, this one isn't really built like an animatronic would be today. He's more like a oscillating fan without the fan, with a speaker built in. Now, this thing doesn't have any audio of its own. It requires like an external audio source. This one has audio built in and has external audio speaker support. Can you see where I'm going with this? You're about to be the first people ever to hear new Crypt Keeper's horrible impression playing through an original 1996 Jimmy Crypt Keeper. Here it comes.
Let's face it, kiddies. I've become quite a celebrity. The world worships the ground I rot in. You know, I feel like a little kid again. Hey, waiter, bring me another little kid. Medium rare this time. It takes a sick, devious, disturbed mind to come up with the things I say. I'm so blessed.
Another thing to say is that the audio on this one is more split up than this one, which was just a continuous recording. Some of the breaks in his
Did you know
phrases are a
the
little
average
odd.
human body contains approximately 6 quarts of blood? Yum! All of a sudden, I'm thirsty.
And, you know, obviously the audio, the phrases are reused. You know, different voice actor. That doesn't sound like the Crypt Keeper at all, but,
I've been very busy lately, going around from door to door, collecting for the Black Plague. We're thinking of bringing it back.
strangely enough, all but one are used from the normal audio tape, and only one is used from the Halloween tape.
I got this letter the other day. Dear Crypt Keeper, do you happen to know the origin of the expression, "You can't keep a good man down"? Yes, I do, Creep. That was coined in 1904 by a seasick cannibal.
Yeah. It kind of sounds a little bit better than his actual speaker.
I was recently asked this puzzling query by one of my many fear fans. Should fried chicken be eaten with the fingers or not? No, absolutely not. The fingers should always be eaten separately.
Okay, there's another thing I wanted to mention, and it was another thing with the feet. So, at the bottom of the feet here, there's this, like, spot where it's flat, completely flat and, you know, circular, that one area. And if you can see over here, you can't really see that. So, I think it's another like, modification they made. It is definitely flat right here where the, not sure what to call that, this part of the foot is. The heel, I think, is what it's called.
And
Not
I'll
sure.
leave you with this little bit of crypt wisdom. You know you're a corpse if you throw a football and your hand goes along with it.
That was weird. So yeah, I don't know. That's all I can really say about these two. They are... It's kind of hard to compare because this one's like a Model T, this one's like a Honda Civic, just to use a car metaphor. They are very, very different. Oh, and another thing I never mentioned. This one's head is completely different. Like, the material is like this squishy, soft vinyl, and this thing is entirely made out of hard plastic. It's super hard. And the entire body is actually made out of hard plastic too. And it has joints. Well, this one has like posable wire hands instead of joints. The legs also have knee joints, which this one doesn't have posable legs at all. It just sticks out like that. And the entire body is made out of this hard plastic as well, and it came in one piece. You know. Another thing I wanted to mention was this shoulder piece it has is completely molded, except for, you know, where the head moves. And it's painted too. It has like little scars. This one, I believe,
love me tender,
doesn't.
Love me true. Let me be.
Because
the
you can
ghoul
tell
for
this one
you.
is not constructed
So
the
have
same.
fun, kiddies. And don't forget,
And it's definitely
the
not
more,
the same
the
shoulder
merrier.
piece that this one uses. You can tell it's
Greetings, Crypt.
constructed
It's
very
your
differently
old
because
pal,
this
the
entire
Crypt
chest
Keeper, known to all you
is
fright
solid. This
fiends
one,
as America's most haunted.
you know, you can just stick your hand right through them.
I'm here once again with some cryptic
So that's
remarks.
all I can really think to say about these two. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.